Before we begin, thank you very much to Very Terry, or Very Pateri. This is the second time I've shouted out this name, and I can't remember if the P is silent or not. If we're going by the not dinosaur, the prehistoric animal, then yes, Very Terry. Thank you very much for joining my Patreon campaign again. I very much appreciate it. Reminder, we're almost at the very end of the month, which means my monthly Q&A video is just about due. If you have something you want to ask or if you want to answer from me, then please go check my video from March 1st, the previous Q&A video, and please leave your question for next month there, in which case I'll probably be doing it on April 2nd, because I don't think a Q&A video makes for a good April 1st video. Not that I'm planning anything weird. Don't think that. Don't get cross. All right. Point being, that video is coming up. So please, if you have someone, leave a question there. All right. We are looking at a familiar poster here in front of us today. So this poster was something we brought up in News Roundup and then very quickly realized something was wrong with it. It didn't take the Transformer community very long to start finding a little bit of oddness when it came to this poster. For instance, most of these seem to be masterpiece designs that were in strange poses, in particular, like some things that didn't quite seem like they were meshing well. So a lot of people started realizing that a lot of this was traced from someone else's photography, either official art or a few fan photos. And things like Starscream holding Megatron in gun mode, even though Megatron is right there, and as well as the fact that the Devastator in this shot is not an official one, it's a third-party Devastator toy, started tipping a lot of people off that, yeah, there is a lot in this poster that was plagiarized from photographers. This got taken down really quick once people realized this and started calling the company out on it. This was very quietly canceled. The original Instagram posts were deleted, and we've not heard anything of this poster, its artist, or even the company who was producing these, as far as I know, ever since. It was fortunate that this product didn't come out, or else getting it swept under the rug wouldn't have been so easy. However, we now find ourselves in a similar situation, though this one seems to be far more impactful. So, let me introduce you to Tom, or at the Priminator. Now, this has to do with some 3D art files he has, like think Shapeways or Thingiverse type files. So, remember, on my news roundup, we talked about some new foam roleplay toys that had been cited. They're already produced, and they're already on the shelves. They are already available to buy. The problem with this is that they're not original creations. Tom has brought up the point that they look strikingly similar to the designs that he created, based on the weapons from the live-action movies. Now, the thing with this is that when you're creating something that is already based off, when an official and a fan are both creating things based off the same source material, you're going to expect them to be similar, right? Well, this is where it's worth digging a little bit deeper and actually confirming whether or not this is what has taken place. So, let's check in on Tom's claim, and we're actually going to determine for ourselves what has gone on here. So we're going to start with the axe in question. Now take a good look at the design of the axe, all right? So it's got this weird trident design in the middle, okay? You can see like the shape of the base and the handle, and we see all that. More in particular, I want you to take a look at the sides of the blade. You see those glyphs that are carved into the side, right? If we take a look at Tom's file, you can see a lot of that detailing is there. You can see the points that are in the lower part of the handle. The base of the handle is very much the same. And most importantly, the glyphs are carved into the side in the exact same spots. They're even, it's like it even shows to like raise that midsection up and sink the glyphs in, just like it is here on this model. Now, you might be thinking, they're both basing it off of the design from the movie, right? Okay. So, admittedly, it's hard to find a good shot of the axe in the movie because this is a live-action Michael Bay Transformer movie. The action is way too fast-paced and kinetic and, frankly, nonsensical to really get a good shot of the axe. But I did find this picture where you can very clearly see the side of the blade. There is no glyph. None whatsoever. The rest of the shots are just moving too fast, and the handle is covered up, so I can't really determine anything beyond that. However, we can see from this that on the ILM design, there is no glyph. It only appears on Tom's design, and now it appears on this toy axe. Okay, point 1 for Tom. I'm going to give this one to him. So, the sword is a little bit easier to check out because it's far more prominent thanks to Age of Extinction and The Last Knight. So again, we're going to take a nice close look at it, take a look at the handle, take a look at the hilt, the shape of the blade, whatever details you want to remember. I mean, it's going to come as no shock that we're going to flip over and Tom's design seems to be practically the same. Now, the handle is where it's a little bit more suspect because this is elongated to match the movie and to be like an appropriate like prop and like more more accurate if you're like either an adult handling it or if you're going to use it as an accessory for one of your toys. So I want you to take a look at the pattern of the grooves on the handle, right? You see how evenly spaced out they are like that? All right. Let's take a look at the toy again. Look at the shape. It's the same. The grooves are the same shape, but they are notably squashed down. Like it's the same kind of ridges, but they're much like they're accordion together to make the handle fatter and shorter and more appropriate for a kid to hold on to it. The more important detail here I want you to pay attention to is the shape of the hilt and how squared off it is on the sides. So you can already see it's the same shapes going on in the hilt. Now, the sword, like I said, much easier to get a really good look at what it looks like in the movie. And here is where it is very clear. The toy and the render look nothing like the sword in the movie. Here, the hilt is pointed on both ends. The handle has a completely different shape to its ridges. Even the base does not have the blue shape that is on Tom's design and now is on the toy sword's design. More notably, a very distinct element of Tom's design, and you can see it in here, is the glyph, that sigil at the very top of the handle, like right where the handle meets the hilt. You can see that here in his. Again, just like all the details on the handle, it's been squashed, it's been upsized, so it can fit in a kid's hand a little bit more easily. But if you look on the ILM render, it's not there. That's pretty clear to me. Then that is pretty conclusive to me that, you know, these are designs that were either copied directly from his art pages or bought from his Shapeways page, or or for however he was selling the models, and then what we see here. And just to confirm, here is the official promo render for The Last Knight, just to make sure the design of the sword didn't change between movies. Okay, it did not. So we also rule out this as a potential. So where does that leave us? Well, it does. It leaves us looking for a few more, just a few more examples, just one more example, just to get this out of the way, because we have to check the toys as well to see if that's where they're pulling all these extra designs from. The only way you can actually tell that is by looking at Caliber Optimus Prime, which is the only toy that comes with both the sword and the axe, as accurate to the movie as they can. And I'll tell you right now, they do match how they look in the movie. They do not match Tom's design, and they certainly do not match the designs of the toys. So yeah, I'm kind of calling this, there is official Transformer product that is available on the shelves right now that absolutely did plagiarize a fan's designs. Now, Here's a bit of a confession from me. All right, so I'm intentionally being clickbaity with the title of the video because I want people to click and pay attention to this video because this is pretty important. This is pretty important. Remember, there's a lot of artists and designers in Transformers these days that came from where we are. They were fans who became official. Either they started becoming an artist for the comic books or the boxes, or they started working on the engineering of the toys themselves. Many people working on Transformers today, whether it's on the toys or on the media, grew up with it in some way, shape, or form. So it's kind of a huge thing when now a modern company is taking fan designs and using it for their own product without permission or licensing or anything. They're just outright stealing it. But it's not Hasbro who did it. I clickbait the title so people will pay attention to it because this is a serious issue. It's a very serious issue. However, Hasbro's not at fault here because it wasn't Hasbro who made the sword. It was made by a company called Forever Clever, which, if they're getting caught plagiarizing this easily, that doesn't seem very clever to me. This is one of the companies that Hasbro hands things down to that they personally do not want to produce themselves. If you remember last Easter when I reviewed the Transformers Easter basket, that was kind of in that exact same vein. A lot of the stuff that was in that basket was made by Forever Clever. If you look on their website, you'll find, for instance, like the chalk that was a part of that basket. And they're responsible for a lot of the lower-end Transformer things that get released. Nothing you'd actually find on, like, a real toy aisle, more or less like things that you'd find at a grocery store, or you'd find at some, like not even a secondary market, like an even, like, tertiary market. But like really low budget things, like really low budget things, like dollar store, Five Below, though, like those kind of outlets. You know, the swords themselves were found at Five Below. So, it's really just like the only fault Hasbro has here is that they saw the designs and checked off on it and approved it and allowed Forever Clever to run it in mass production, without doing the proper checks and balances to make sure that the designs were original. Considering we just got over the poster fiasco, you'd think Hasbro would be just a little bit more cautious with what goes through their checks and balance systems, right? Well, unfortunately, no. That is not the case here. This is all Forever Clever. They're the ones who either bought the file, bought the item of Shapeways, and then just straight up ripped it off, or they straight up just studied Tom's files and his images of these toys, and then just made the weapons. Either way, there's no doubt in my mind they are guilty of plagiarism here. Now the hard part about this is I don't even know if there's anything Tom could do about it. He says he does not want compensation for this. He brought it to people's attention just so people know what happened, and because this is something important for artists to pay attention to, because, yeah, sometimes companies get a little bit scummy, and they get a little bit lazy, and they'll just straight up take your work just for, and it's ick is what it is. So you can't really do much about it because Tom is also Tom's creating derivative work. Yes, there are changes, but they're still ultimately based on the designs from the Transformers movie. And you can explain it away. Obviously Forever Clever didn't have access to ILM files, so they pulled from the files from the internet. Okay, get that. I mean, I kind of get why. It took me about an hour of scrubbing through YouTube videos to find the screenshots from the movies that best demonstrated the weapons. It's not easy to find really good examples of what these things are supposed to look like. So they used what they saw. But even if Tom were to, lawyer up and go after Forever Clever, which would be a far smaller and easier target than Hasbro, I don't know if you have a case because it's fan content, because it is derivative work. it's a mess. It's a mess, you know. And I know a lawyer would also put Hasbro on blast for this too, just because they are accountable because they signed off on it. All right, so okay, fine, whatever. But no, I don't think that's gonna happen here. I really think Tom is just trying to be an advisory. He's just trying to be a word of warning, just an example of what can happen if things are left unchecked. And it is really scummy that it happened to him. So I'm just going to point out that he has a Shapeways page entitled The Prime's Forge, where he does 3D custom accessories for certain Transformers, certain particular Transformer items. So the best thing we can do here is just give him a little bit of love. If there's an accessory there that you like the look of, go ahead and pick it up. I'll leave the description. I'll leave the link to his shop in the description below. No pressure to do it, but just, if only just spread the link and spread the word too. He deserves something here. He deserves something for what Forever Clever did. So, yeah, that's an unfortunate case that we have to bring to your attention today. Artists, please pay attention to what is coming out, especially from these companies that Hasbro is licensing Transformers to, because they're not under the same checks and balances that Hasbro is. They are far less careful and obviously care far less about where their material comes from. So just make sure it does not come from you. And I would say the same of all the poster companies, because we've already been through that once or twice. But thank you for joining me. This is not the most engaging of content, but it's a matter that came up in the fandom that I really wanted to bring attention to. And yeah, hopefully it brings. I don't see Hasbro or Forever Clever recalling these things because they got caught for plagiarism. At best, I can hope that a designer or an artist gets fired. I think that's about the only resolution that's going to happen from this. But who knows? Maybe it's just a cautionary tale, and few people might learn from it. Hopefully, anyway. So next time I'll have a more pleasant topic to talk about. All right. So I'll see you then. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.